I am a nerd who finds pleasure in books of fiction, of life in fiction, of pain from fiction, a fragment of my being. I am nothing without a book. I'm a nerd who finds pleasure in comic books, whose mind comes alive in their pages, of heroes and their sidekicks, of villains and their lovely vibe. I am nothing without a book. May I like being a nerd. It may sound absurd that I reference things too. Doctor Who, Portal 2, Comic-Con, in Klingon. I'm the one who knows the rules to D&D. I'm a paladin. Roll a die and come at me. The word nerd has changed a lot over the last few years, evolving from a derogatory term used to skewer uncool or out-of-touch individuals to a now more value-neutral and sometimes even positive descriptor of a certain media-type consumer. Moreover, it isn't the topic of interest that makes one being a nerd. It's how one approaches it. That's why the word nerd has evolved to be more of a verb in the last few years. For example, I'm going to completely nerd out on this book, as well as a suffix that can be added to nearly anything. Book nerd, computer nerd, font nerd, speech nerd. And so, I present to you, I Am a Nerd, a program of oral interpretations with excerpts by Hugo Victor, Stephen Leva, Patton Oswalt, J.R.R. Tolkien, and some of pop culture's most famous movies, dedicated to all those who think just a little differently. I didn't choose to be a nerd. I was born this way. My parents may have sensed that I was different back in 1977 when they took me to see Star Wars. But it was confirmed when I left the theater. The sense that my world was forever changed stood in stark contrast to their complete and utter confusion. Even now, after 9 movies, countless books, action figures, Clone Wars, and a Christmas special featuring B. Arthur's most moving performance, they still can't quite figure out what the Force is or why Jar Jar nearly sent my entire generation to the insane asylum. Whole hero legends and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side. All of the internet references are mine. If you don't understand, I'll tell you a second time. I don't always flaunt my nerdiness, but when I do, it's a poem. I'm the kid who has Tron discs and knows how to throw them. Goonies never say die. If you ever wanted to write an unabashedly nerdy poem, here are a few things you might assume. Think of them as starting places from which a rich poem might manifest its own life. Whatever keeps you thinking. The cartridge will only work if you blow into it. And you've just run up the steps. Whoo! Your mother lied about throwing out all your comics. They were in the attic when the house was sold. Your whole collection is being read by Morlocks. The D&D die has gained so many sides, it's now a marble. There's always a +2 hammer when you open that chest. No one in your party believes you should open that chest. You can play as all the NPCs, but only once a day. You've bought the download, but have to go to church before it finishes. When you return, the power is out. Never go against a Sicilian when death is on the line. The terms nerd and geek were convenient shorthand used by other cliques to categorize us, but they were thin descriptors. I can't say I've ever abided nerd stereotypes. I was never alone or felt outcast. I had a circle of friends who were similarly drawn to the exotica of pop culture. Or at least what was considered pop culture at the time. Monty Python, strange women lying in ponds, distributing swords, no basis for a system of government, supreme executive power derived from the mandates of the masses, not some farcical aquatic ceremony. Our below-the-top soil passions have been rudely dug up and displayed in the noonday sun. The Lord of the Rings used to be hours and only hours because of the sheer thickness of the books. 20 years later, the entire cast and crew would be trooping on stage at the Oscars to collect their statuettes, and replicas of the One Ring would be sold as bling. 3 rings for the Elven Kings under the sky, 7 for the Dwarf Lords in the halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne, in the land of Mordor where shadows lie. 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. Whew. After trying and failing to explain to her friend why Frodo couldn't just hitch a ride to Mordor on one of those giant eagles, I looked for a way to translate nerd to Norm. I thought a vehicle like a haiku, simple and ancient art form, but like a Skeksis going after a Gelfling, could extract the very essence of an idea into 3 lines of 5, 7, 5. Well, I thought that'd just be the best haiku ever. Best haiku ever. 5 syllables. M. You shall not pass. Suit up with all ensued class, for the nerddom will grow inconceivably fast. I think one of the most interesting differences between nerds and the general non-Comic-Con going population, nerds appreciate the gestalt of movies, television shows, books, and video games, and commit to memory the treasured, detailed comings and goings of hundreds of characters and worlds. Anyone can read 4,000 pages chronicling the shenanigans of a dwarf and a dragon queen, but only a nerd is going to take issue with HBO staging an epic daytime sea battle at night. A nerd is going to rank which Robin is the best one. It's Dick Grayson. A nerd is going to understand the logic of destroying Vulcan in the reboot. A nerd is going to know what a reboot is. In this house, we wield magic. We go on epic adventures through Middle-earth to Mordor. Once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away, here, 42 was the answer to everything. We do wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff, the truffle shuffle, and go boldly where no man has gone before. We don't care what muggles think, because in this house, we do nerd. Now give me that horizon. Thank you.